Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite weekly sports show. It is ITC Sportsball. Of course, I am your man, Jerome Span, and we've got the two greatest other co-hosts in the world here. We have the hot take master, the spitter of that fire. He be dropping them bombs like Dylon. He is that man.
You know it's your boy Mace, always ready to go.
And of course, we have ITC's resident troll, that number one five-starter, that man that just comes on here to throw gasoline on the fire all day long. He is that man, Daryl.
Might as well throw gasoline on myself right now. I need to light myself up. I need to light myself up right now.
I told you to go get some coffee before we started. You was like, nah, I'm good. I can't even make it right now. Well, man, shit. If you don't want to go get it, I can't do nothing about that.
Nah. It ain't about being sleepy.
Gaslight him a little bit.
Shit. Light me up.
But of course, we are back this week to hit up all the big stories from the week. And we would be remiss if we did not start with the spicy games that we got last week from the NFL. Those were two of the better conference championship games I think we have gotten to see in recent history here. Besides the year that the Patriots went to the Super Bowl when it was Patriots-Chiefs, I can't think of like a better set of games that we actually had on that weekend. But with all that being said, I have to ask Mace, what are your thoughts on what transpired in that Chiefs game? The Chiefs looked like they were rolling. They looked like they were going to easily put away the Bengals, and the Bengals just kept fighting. We talked about it with Smoke and Bubby, where hey, that stop at the half really changed the game for everything. Yeah. It really changed the entire momentum. So Mace, how do you feel about what transpired over the next half of football after that stop?
So I want to start with a quote from Taylor Rook about an interview she had with Joe Burrow. I think they're having interviews talking about random stuff. Something came about where Joe Burrow was like, I could play basketball. I could play professional basketball right now and drop 15 in a game. That type of unwavering confidence is unmeasurable. You can't sit here and like that. There's nothing you can do to discourage a person who feels like they can step into another person's professional shoes and outshine them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joe Burrow, the confidence that Joe Burrow has, you can see it resonate through that team. They almost have that young invincibility to them. That whole nothing can faze me as long as I believe in myself. Something good is going to come up, and right now that is it's at an all-time high for them, and it's like I said, that stop at halftime really changed that game because even if they kick a field goal there, if they go in there with any type of points at that point, I think that kind of solidifies their win. But to give them that emotional high.
Let's be honest, the game could have went how it went for the rest of the game. If they had just gotten a field goal, guess what? That field goal they get at the end wins them the game. They're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because it's you can't give a or any team, not just a young team, you can't give any team confidence like that. To say, because you got to think about it, when you go for two, you probably have like 3 or 4 2-point conversion plays where you're like, I'm scoring every single time I run these. Like these 2-point conversion, people just think 2-point conversion plays aren't just a random play in your playbook. Like you have a separate little sheet with about 5 plays that are all your 2-point conversion plays. And to stop a team like the Chiefs when they pull out one of those 2-point conversion plays, that the amount of confidence that can give a team, any team, not just a young team, a veteran team, whatever the case may be, that carried over from halftime. I think the Bengals felt like that they realized that they belonged in that game at that point, and it was just a tale of 2 halves.
And now, I have to ask, Daryl. I know you were getting at me last week when I called Patty Mahomes the GOAT, which he's still the GOAT. Let me be clear. I'm not backing off. One game ain't gonna dissuade you, boy. Patrick Mahomes is still the GOAT. But I will say this: he was pressing last week. Now, Daryl, I see that big smirk on your face. How did it make you feel knowing that after I called him the GOAT, that they ended up losing in that way?
What did I say before? I said the Madden. See, we should have bet it again. See, I'll put that clown face right back on again. After saying that nonsense, you need to stop saying "goat" for people. That's what you need to stop.
Hold on a second. He's still the GOAT. That didn't change. You know what I'm saying? Look. Okay.
The GOAT retired. The GOAT retired.
No,
he doesn't have 7. He doesn't have 7.
Tom Brady, at least 4 of them Super Bowls, the defense won them. So what we talking about, baby?
Hey, it's a team sport.
But we're gonna give Tom Brady the credit for all those wins, though, right? All of a sudden we're gonna just be like, oh yeah, Tom Brady, he's the reason they won. We ain't gonna talk about how in the first Super Bowl they was hiding his ass. Okay, they hid him for basically 4 quarters and then said, just get us in field goal range, Tommy. That's all you got to do. The second one, defense won one. The third one, this defense won it. Okay, and then let's talk about it. Then when the offense was the dominant thing on the team, what happened? They lost to Eli Manning twice.
You sound like a strong Tom Brady hater right now. That's all I hear.
Look. As a fan, love Tom Brady as a player. Like, excellent. And he went to Michigan, fool. So no, I ride with Tom Brady. As a person, him and his other shit. Now we're gonna have a different talk about that. Okay? You know what I'm saying? I ain't forget that red hat he had up in his fucking locker. So I didn't forget that. But if we're just talking specifically about what he did on the field, oh man, one of the greatest of all time. But I am not ever going to give him the title of the GOAT. And you know why? Because Tom Brady has got to play in the easiest era to get offense off, right? Where they have really, really skewed the rules against the defenses. Yes, I know that may sound a little weird because I consider Patrick Mahomes the GOAT, but the reason why I consider Patrick Mahomes the GOAT is based off of the ability to perform on the field, what he can do in total, plus the amount of success that he's already had and that he's more than likely going to end up having by the end of his career, right? So that's why he's the GOAT. Tom Brady has benefited from rule changes. Think about it. When your boy Brady got hurt, Daryl, what happened? They changed the fucking rules, bro. Carson Palmer got his knee destroyed even worse than what Brady did. And they didn't change the rules. All of a sudden, Tom Brady get hurt. Oh, no. We got to change these rules. We can't have this. We can't have Tom Brady getting hurt. So again,
bad timing.
Bad timing. Come on, man. Carson Palmer had one leg after that injury, bro.
For
Shit
years.
He might as well have came back and played with a prosthetic, man. He couldn't move worth a damn after that knee injury.
Nope. But it's funny, though. The rules didn't change for him, though. All of a sudden, Tom Brady hurt. We got to change the rules. We need to change the rules. We can't have the quarterbacks getting hit below their legs. Everybody's always gotten hit there for every day. What quarterbacks aren't football players anymore. This is why I say, literally, you can hit a quarterback from about here to their navel. That's about it. You hit them anywhere else, they go flag, and the quarterback gonna be, hey, hold the flag. Tom Brady too. He is the king for years. He has been the king of this, and this would drive me crazy. This man cuss out the referees, cuss out his teammates, all this shit. And you know what they're marking under makes? Leadership.
Hey, boy, when Psycho Tom come out, boy, that's a whole different ball game. Psycho Tom out, he don't give a damn. He cussing everybody out.
You're just mad because he's good at it. That's all about it.
Nah, man. I mean, it's that whole veteran thing. Let me work the ref early so I can get that call late. You know what I'm saying?
It's that leadership.
I see a leader on the field. That's what I see. I see a leader. I see the GOAT. That's what I see.
I mean, Tom Brady has benefited from some. I mean, the what was that? Against the Raiders?
The tuck rule. That was when I was still a Raiders fan. That one,
the tuck rule,
having me hot for years.
I mean, Tom Brady has benefited from some rule changes more than any other quarterback.
Hey, he was just ahead of the game. That's all.
You can go to hell. You can go right to hell.
This man is
tired of you. This dude talking ridiculous right now. But regardless, we ended up having a great game. So we have to give Joe Burrow and those Bengals credit. So I have to say, Mace, in this, after what has transpired over the course of this season, plus the playoffs, is it fair to say that Joe Burrow, if we were just rating it in Madden terms, right? He's an X factor at this point.
Yeah. If we were to like make that comparison for the game, he better be. There's no way around it. Like, there's no way you can do what he's done. I mean, Zach Taylor without Joe Burrow is like 6-24. Joe Burrow has put money into his head coach's pockets. He's put money into his receivers' pockets. You think I'm not bullshitting? He has gotten all these dudes paid off of this season. Tyler Boyd gonna get paid. T. Higgins gonna get paid. Zach Taylor gonna get paid. His offensive coordinator probably gonna get a head coaching consideration somewhere. I don't even know who he is. Do we even know who he is? But he gonna get a head coaching job or a few interviews.
Well, you know,
it's gonna come down to him and somebody else.
Well, you know, Zach Taylor, he was part of the Shrine of McVay. So, you know, that's a little McVay adjacent. So, yeah, you know they're going to try and hype up whoever his OC is. You know what that is.
Yeah, like I said, bro, it's Joe Burrow just won a lot of people a lot of money by making it to the Super Bowl.
And
when Zach Taylor was on like a 4-year contract. Next year is his 4th year, I believe. So
he ain't deserve it.
Okay. He's like Joe Burrow has put the whole team on his back and carried them to the Super Bowl.
You know, this reminds me, as far as like just inept head coaching that's then might mess around and lucking themselves into a Super Bowl. Only person I can really think of in like recent history, and this is even going back like 20 years basically at this point, is Brian Billick. Like, you remember, Mace, Brian Billick didn't have shit to do with that defense. That defense was already in place before he got there. He was supposed to come in and fix the offense. He didn't do that. The offense still stunk, but that defense punched everybody in the mouth in their entire playoffs and won a Super Bowl. And because of that, Brian Billick is a Super Bowl winning coach. Tom Coughlin, his defense carried him to a chip twice. Tom Coughlin, it was, for the most part, outside of what he did in Jacksonville, he was like a mediocre coach, if we're being honest. He was mediocre. But guess what? He got all of that extra credit because his defense carried him to 2 Super Bowls.
Hey, don't nobody deserve less credit for winning a Super Bowl than Barry Switzer. There ain't a single coach that deserves less credit for winning than Barry Switzer.
I mean, he almost messed it up too. That's the craziest part. Like, he almost didn't win that Super Bowl with the Cowboys, which is like, dog,
what are you doing? We have assembled the Justice League on one side of the field and the Incredibles on the other. Like come on, man. How do you almost mess that up? Don't nobody deserve less credit for winning than him.
But yeah, that's basically how I feel about Zach Taylor at this point. I feel like his coaching is not any of the reason why the Bengals are having the success that they're having. So he has lucked into Joe Burrow being his guy, and then also lucking into having Jamar Chase, right? It's amazing the run that they've been on. They can win this game. We're not going to make our picks this week. People will be making our picks next week because we're going to do a Super Bowl extravaganza next week, right? But again, I don't know how long this can sustain just based off of the fact that my man Burrow will be back there getting destroyed. Look, if not for the fact that this dude, Joe Burrow, got some goddamn moxie, they would have lost that game last week. I mean, think about the drive that they scored on their last scoring drive, Mace. This man broke 2 fucking sacks, back-to-back plays. and got big runs off. Like Joe Burrow made plays for that damn team. And if not for him, no, they are not in the Super Bowl. Also, we have to give credit. We would be wrong as fuck if we didn't. Again, this man proved to y'all what me and Mace been telling y'all. That dude, Joe Mixon, is a fucking dog. He is a fucking dog, man. Oh, my goodness. Look, hey, if we being real, if not for him getting clipped by his own man on that run in overtime, he probably getting in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to give those Bengals a lot of credit for what they did here. Will it be long-term success? That depends a lot on them getting that offensive line together for sure.
Well, and the crazy part about the offensive line, they played better than they were last year. Like, they were markedly better than they were last year, and they are still not that good.
But that's because they were bottom of the barrel. It's awful. It was like every snap was pressure. That's it. Yeah. Like, you couldn't have been worse. You couldn't. Like, it's impossible for them to have been worse. They were giving up. Look, if they would have been worse, essentially they would have been David Carr, Texans level offensive line bad, right? That's the only way you can be worse. Yeah. So exactly.
He probably had to go to therapy when he stopped playing football because of it. I ain't talking about like physical therapy. He had some demons to work out.
Oh God. I mean, you're not really wrong there, but yeah. So we have to give credit to both of these teams that have gotten themselves in to the Super Bowl. I will say this before we move on from football here, Mace. Can we blame Kyle Shanahan for that loss? Because I'm inclined to say that they could have potentially won that game if they had Trey Lance instead of Jimmy Garoppolo, because the Rams knew what Jimmy G was. He tried to throw that game away early. Okay, he really did. And then he tried to throw it away late too. Just Jalen Ramsey didn't catch the damn pick. So is it fair to say that Kyle Shanahan's insistence on starting Jimmy Garoppolo cost him an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl?
People, go to YouTube because I'm going to do this one last time for you. One last time. You know what's in this hand. You don't know what's in this one. How in the world do you keep running out here with your hand open, knowing what you're going to get? I don't understand it. Every playoff game they were in, Jimmy G almost cost them. They won in spite of Jimmy Garoppolo. He almost gave it away versus Dallas. He almost gave it away last week. Come on, man. Like what? Like I don't get it. I do not get it. I do not get why they just can. Why he the entire season just was like, Jimmy G got it. No, he don't. You had to put a receiver at running back. That's how bad your team was. Let's be real here. Let's be real. Let's be honest about that team, bro. You literally had to take your receiver and put him in the backfield and create mismatches that way because you knew that your quarterback couldn't take advantage of mismatches. If it wasn't for Brandon Ayuk coming along as a receiver, Debo probably still wouldn't even have been that effective, even though he had all these new roles on the offense. I mean, come on, man. Jimmy G just lucked out by having George Kittle out there as a security blanket. Because, I mean, the run game was non-existent because your receivers at running back. So your running backs ain't worth a damn. You got to put a receiver back there.
Dale, I have to ask, since he is a guy that came out of that New England system there, is Jimmy Garoppolo done? After what you saw last Sunday, is he done?
There's dreams and hopes.
Hey, is he gonna go to Tampa Bay and take up the mantle?
You know what? Maybe.
Hey, the team's already made for him. All he's got to do is not lose.
Nah, Mace. They gonna bring Jameis back, baby.
Hey, at least he can see now. He might do well. He can see now. Shit. He ain't out there. I think Mike Evans down there.
Hey, let me ask you: would you take a squinting Jameis or Garoppolo with his eyes closed to throw it up for you?
Does that come with a prayer?
Oh man! Oh, my man Jimmy panicked on that last pass too, just like Kyler Murray did. He was like, "I know."
Hey, boy, man. I feel bad for Kyler, bro, because that man was out there running for his life and just had nothing.
Hey.
But no, man, like honestly though, like I think the 49ers shorted themselves by having Jimmy G out there. You know, maybe they lose a few more games with Trey Lance as quarterback. Maybe they miss the playoffs or whatever. But starting over with Trey Lance, as we all assume next season, I think you just wasted a year of his growth. Like, I mean, what was the point of that? I mean, not everybody out here can be the quarterback whisperer like Andy Reid and know that you got magic over here sitting on the background. You're just gonna let Alex Smith get his last little hurrah. Like nobody's a quarterback whisperer like that. Like honestly, I feel like he got lucky doing that. I don't think that was a something that was planned. It was just kind of Mahomes turned out to be excellent, even though they thought he was already pretty good.
Well, if we're being honest here, it was astounding to me that Kyle would continue to go with Jimmy, considering you won't let him throw the ball. It's not like you're like, hey, Jimmy, go out here and win us these games. You literally are coaching scared and conservative every week because you know your quarterback might throw you out of the game because of severely his limitations of throwing the ball. He's never had a strong arm, and his accuracy under pressure has been shown to not be great.
Terrible, my man. You can breathe on his neck and he.
So to me, I understand that there is also a chance that under having Trey Lance under center might result in more turnovers, right? And a big part of having success with any NFL team, right, is we know we got to keep your turnovers numbers down. But fuck, man, Jimmy G has basically been good for a turnover a game since he's been the starter in San Francisco. So at this point, if you're already giving one up a game anyway, don't you want to go with the guy that has a higher ceiling? Like, why are you going with the guy that has clearly the way lower ceiling?
His head is already touching the ceiling. Let's be honest here.
And if we're being honest, probably at this point has a lower floor too then. So it's like, I don't – Kyle Shanahan, it's what Will has said to me consistently for about the past 3 years, right? Which is that Kyle Shanahan he's great with scheming it up, but his personnel decisions are terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Like Will has said this and stressed this to me over the past few years consistently with this team, which is that we would be better if Kyle made better personnel decisions, and he consistently doesn't, and that's how they end up in this. And I think the ultimate indictment of his decision making on stuff like this is you just go back to the offseason to where they could have drafted either Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, right? But they went with Solomon Thomas because he was so sure he was going to be able to sign Kirk Cousins, who in his system actually didn't play that great under him. What sense does that make? Your personnel decisions are terrible. And so I think that has cost this team long-term. I feel like they could have more success if they had.
If they draft Deshaun Watson, I'm going to put it to you straight up. They win. They in that period of time, they're winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, if they get Deshaun Watson, they're probably, like it's probably them in the Chiefs meeting over and over in the Super Bowl. Because I will stand by this. Don't care what anybody say. I remember the stories going into the draft. Most teams, from what was being reported, were very worried about Patrick Mahomes' propensity to turn it over and to just throw some shit up. You cannot do that so much in the NFL, right? You can't really do that. Teams were worried about it. Nobody was going to draft him that high. Andy Reid, though, on the other hand, understood his situation. He knew he had another year left of Alex Smith, right? He knew he could get probably 2 out of him if he needed to. He knew he could do that. But if he could develop that guy, he knew he could be the man for him in this system.
But you also got to think of where Patrick Mahomes came from. He came from a system where they're throwing the ball 50, 60 times a game. How do you not throw 2 or 3 interceptions a game, throwing it 60 times a game? I mean, if anybody knows Texas Tech, you know what it is out there. It's the Wild West, baby. We air raiding it out. Our run game is our short slants and screens. That's our run game. is our screen game, is our pick plays. That's the run game out there.
Yeah, so it's at this point.
I don't understand, like, the way these. I'm no NFL scout. There's a lot of people that understand talent way better than I do. But how do you not understand that system that he comes out of? That's just a product of it.
Well, in fairness, though, historically, out of that particular variation of like air raiding, right, there hadn't really been anybody that had any success in the NFL coming out of that system. Like, most of the guys that got opportunities coming out of like a vertical offense like that, right, they usually sucked it up. You know, they usually weren't good once you got to the NFL level, because now you needed them to go beyond their first read, right? Because you know, just like I do, Mace, right? It's pretty much you're throwing the ball over the top all the time in air raids. You're always trying to hit down the field, right? If you're throwing underneath, you're doing that just because you absolutely, that's like probably read number 3, 4 in your progression, right? But the problem is that when you get to the NFL, your check down sometimes has to be your second fucking read. You have to be able to read, oh, well, the defense is covering all this up. I got to check this ball the fuck now, right? You have to be able to do that quickly. Not everybody's able to do it. Andy Reid and the boys have coached him up, so we have to give them their credit on that. But, you know, yeah, I really think that the San Francisco 49ers have hamstringed themselves in this past season, especially by just sitting pat with Jimmy G. Like that was such a mistake that Kyle. It really felt like this. Like Kyle was trying his hardest to prove to everybody else that he's as smart as he thinks he is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's like the word. That's the worst you can. If you let your ego drive your decisions, man, I mean, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Like I said, they probably lose 1 or 2 more games with Trey Lance at quarterback, but you understand that your team long term is going to be a lot better, because now you're basically going to be throwing Trey Lance out there in his learning experience, where now you have a situation where how are they going to make their team better? Like, where is their offensive help going to come from? Because obviously they ain't got a run game. If Deebo Samuel has to be your main running back, you don't have a run game. Let's just be honest here, because the way these personnels work, because a lot of people don't really understand this. Deebo Samuel's had success because defenses were running out nickel packages and dime packages, because they have 3 receivers on the field, 4 receivers on the field, 3 receivers and George Kittle lined up out wide. You have to put a receiver on George Kittle or a cornerback on George Kittle. You can't guard him with the safety or a linebacker. You just can't do it. So their personnel choices gave them the opportunity to run that well with Deebo in the backfield. It's not like Deebo was just out there going against base defenses, out there breaking tackles in the trenches. Like,
and Kyle Shanahan, and look, I'm gonna say it for all the 49er fans out there. Kyle Shanahan, if we see you motion Trent Williams one more motherfucking time, my dude, that shit, Mace, we saw them do it 3 times in the playoffs this year. It worked 0 times did it work. Most of the time, Trent Williams barely even got a hand on anybody, because you're putting him in this weird situation that he's not accustomed to, instead of just saying, hey, wait a minute, he's like my best offensive lineman, one of the best in the game.
Run it his way every time.
We know he can seal off the edge. So, yeah, let's run it his way. Let's maybe do it.
Regardless of who's in front of him, he got it. He got it.
But no,
Simple.
he was like,
He's got
nah. He was like, nah, bro. We going to put you in motion. Got
Smart.
it right here. I'm that guy. I'll smart everybody. Yeah.
No.
But Kyle Shanahan, you cost your team in the long term. But speaking of teams costing themselves things with bad personnel decisions, goodness gracious, Mace, are the Lakers ever going to get their act together this year? Are they ever?
This year, no. I think we're gonna be outed in that play-in situation. The what is the 7, 8, 9, and 10 for the play-ins? I think we out. I mean, the only hope we have is for bubble AD and fucking Cleveland LeBron to just somehow merge and just put the team on their back and carry us to the promised land. That's all we got. That's our hope. That's our fucking hope. Because you can't get rid of Westbrook. No team with any aspirations of winning in the next 2 to 3 years is going to take Westbrook. And then on top of that, no team trying to rebuild is going to take Westbrook. Because now you got to give up anything that you thought was a semblance of the future. You got to give that up. Because the way this shit works is salaries got to match up.
Yep,
and ain't too many teams have players on their team making Westbrook money. So now you got to stack 2, 3, 4 guys in a trade to reach Westbrook level. And if you're doing that, your whole future going. You just, hey, bro, just go get some triple doubles. You good? We'll figure it out. Whatever. I mean, I'll never understand this move ever. I'll never understand it. Because let me tell you something. If we make the 8th seed and we win our playoff game as the 8th seed, Phoenix sending us home. If we make the 7th seed, win our playoff game, Golden State sending us home. The 6th seed, probably what Denver's 3, probably. I feel like they're 3. I haven't really been paying attention to the standings, but I assume Denver's 3, sending us home. Like, come on, man.
Actually, currently, the current standings are Suns at 1, Warriors 2, Grizzlies 3, Jazz 4, Mavericks 5, Nuggets 6, Timberwolves 7, Clippers 8, Lakers 9th.
Oh, okay. So
I can think of one trade that can help both teams out at the same time. And it's going to sound kind of wild, but hear me out. The Lakers and the Blazers need to make a trade. The Blazers need to start putting it in the tank. You're not winning a championship with Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum as your backcourt. So what you need to do is chalk it up, hopefully you're smart enough to send McCollum packing to the Lakers because he'll work with the Lakers, right? He can do exactly what they need him to do, which is 3 and D. That's what they need. They don't need another nigga that needs the ball 800 dribbles a game in order to be successful. They need somebody that can catch, shoot, catch, one dribble, shoot. That's what they need. Okay. So the Lakers and the Blazers need to make a trade at this point, and the Blazers need to be smart enough to say, we're going to put it in the tank for the rest of the season. And hopefully we'll luck into getting a high lottery pick and be able to draft another superstar to play with Dame. Because as that team is constituted now, they will never, ever, ever, ever be a championship team.
They're a second-round team at best under the right circumstances.
Dame Lillard can play MVP basketball. It will be just like when Dirk won the MVP. They will be out in the first round. That's how, honestly, they won't be any better than that. I mean, Daryl, I see it in your face where you're kind of making a face at me there. Do you think that they need to just pack it in at this point and try and rebuild into something better than what they are? Because I don't. Do you see a way they can win a championship with that core?
Blazers have a better chance than them trash Lakers. Throw the whole team. But that's not the point though. Like no, seriously. Like if you talking about trades, so you have to It sounds like a good idea, but at the same time, it doesn't, because at the same time they can do it. It's
But
not like
what
they
can the
can't.
Blazers do,
32
though?
right
We've
now.
shown that this team is no better than a second round exit in the playoffs. Like Dame can get you one series. He can give you an AI series and get you a series. You know what I'm saying? He can get you one, but
Hey, time out. Don't disrespect my man AI. My man AI got his team to the fucking finals, B. He was the one getting them buckets. Okay, it wasn't nobody. He didn't even have a CJ McCollum out there. Okay, it was AI versus. You better shut the hell up.
Aaron McKee, bro. He had Aaron McKee.
Aaron McKee. Come on, baby. They was both out there for defense. You know that. That was pure. Hey, AI. Love the guy, but at his height, he was a defensive liability. So that's why they had Eric Snow and fucking Aaron McKee out there. Because they were like, hey, y'all got to clamp these dudes up. We got to be able to put AI on the smallest dude so he can stay with him and get us these buckets real quick. But y'all cats, Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, Jermaine Jones, Tyrone Hill, Mutombo, Matt
plays defense.
Defense. Okay, that's what you're here for. Defense. Okay, so don't disrespect my man AI like that. Okay, AI had really. Could you imagine AI in this league now? He would get 50 a game. He'd be getting foul calls every fucking game, man. All day. He'd be taking 20 free throws a game.
Not because he's flopping, James.
Oh, flopping? Flopping? Don't talk about flopping.
Hey, that woke him up.
Flopping? Boy, I don't even want to talk about that. Nope. Not going to start.
Who's the biggest flopper in the league, Daryl?
LeBron.
Oh, stop.
But like, to get back on the topic though, bro, like the Blazers, they're not going anywhere with that team. We've seen it for years. It's the same thing. I commend Dame for saying like, hey, bro, I want to make it work here. Commend him for it. Is it smart? Probably not. But I commend him for it. But at the same time, the Blazers have to take that information and be like, we have to maximize your time here. If you are going to give us that much loyalty, we have to do everything possible to give you the best situation. And sometimes getting rid of a CJ McCollum and getting a lot in return probably is your best option, because we've seen what that team is, how it's currently constituted.
All right, so Daryl, here we go then. You want to go there? Daryl's all-time top 5 floppers in the NBA. Who you got? So we know LeBron's in there, so we got LeBron. Who else?
Such a hard list to make.
No, he just wanted to talk shit about LeBron. See, I gave him a chance to be like, give us your top 5. He like, I don't know.
LeBron would be on my 5. It just be what part of the season it is.
So we're not gonna talk about God rest his soul. Kobe always out there. Every time this nigga get the motherfucker touch him like this. We ain't gonna talk about that, right? We're gonna talk about him and Gasol having screaming matches on the court, saying who can scream louder to get the ref's attention when they didn't even get touched. Turn around, every time.
It's okay. It's okay about that. That's okay, because Kobe, he played in a rough time. He can do that. He can do that.
They played in the
I'm sorry. There was different times. He was playing. Hey, was LeBron playing when Jordan was playing?
No.
Okay.
He missed him by like a year.
It doesn't matter. Was he? Was he?
You want to talk about it? You want to talk about it? What was Kobe doing in the first 2 years when MJ was still in his prime in the league?
You tell me.
Was he Kobe Bryant? Because I sure do remember him airballing some threes in a playoff game. Sure do remember that.
Hey, the pressure got to him.
Brick. So,
hey, pressure gets to you. Pressure gets to you.
Go to hell.
How about this? I'll take your argument if Westbrook can do consistent threes and help his team.
Shut up, bro. That can't be that.
What he just said is, I'll never get with
And
that.
then, bro, the craziest thing about Westbrook, he'll have like 2 or 3 minutes of like efficient basketball. My man to come down, make a few great plays, and then that just gives him the leeway to come down and hit the top of the backboard 5 times and throw the ball behind his back over his head into the stands. And it's just like, I get it, bro. Like, and then you'll see he has a better field goal percentage than so and so and such and such. I don't give a damn. In any given play, Westbrook can be the reason why the play works or the play fails. Any given play, any given possession, he can be the reason why we score or turn the ball over. Any given possession.
I got one for you.
What's up?
If you can put Westbrook on any team currently with their current roster, right? Just say no injuries, right? And when you put Westbrook on the team, they're not affected. What team would that be?
Put him on a team where they're not affected by his
nonsense,
inconsistency?
Yeah.
That's rough. Like, are we just talking like teams in playoff positions or just any team in the league? Because he can go to a bad team and put up triple doubles.
I mean,
I'd probably say
like a good team.
The only good team is probably the 76ers, because their guard play has been so poor this year, any little bit that he could give them would be like a plus. So maybe the 76ers, but outside of it, and the only reason that would work is because their entire scheme is like so built around Embiid and Harris at this point that like Russ just being able to give them some fast break buckets, you know what I'm saying, and stuff would just be a plus. But other than that, man, every other team would need him to do too much. Is like, as far as competitors go, everybody else would actually need him to go get buckets, and that shit don't work, man. Like Russ he is washed at this point. Okay.
That word. That word. That word.
Maybe word. I'm trying to think, and like maybe Minnesota, maybe.
Really, Timberwolves? You think?
Yeah. Well, you got to think about it though. Like, the one knock on Minnesota has been their mental toughness, and that's probably the one thing you can't knock Westbrook about is that mentally he can handle any and all criticism. And if any of that can rub off on Cat or Wiggins, I think they would be much better for it.
Man, them boys couldn't take Jimmy Butler yelling at them. How the hell they gonna deal with Russ? Them boys are fall. That whole damn team are fall to pieces.
The difference is Jimmy Will fight them niggas in the locker room.
You think Russ won't? You think
Russ? I don't think so, bro.
Russ is from South Central Compton. That man will fight Cat. He don't care. He look at Cat like that big dude is soft. He look at him like, hey, if I was Cat size, I would average 600 points a game in the NBA. Okay, stop that right now.
I'm shocked.
Hey, it's kind of hard, bro. Like, there really aren't many teams who are in a position to win could maintain or get better with Russ. Like, at this point, I don't see it. You ran KD off. That should have been the one and only sign NBA general managers needed. You ran KD off.
You put Westbrook on the Warriors. What happens? Do they like fail?
I wouldn't say they fail. They just like. Are you saying minus Steph Curry?
No, you just
add him into the roster.
Kind of insert him like Steph, Clay, Westbrook.
They're not going to be as good as an offense because one part about their offense that is great, the ball stays moving a lot, and they have a certified style of play in the half-court offense, right? Half-court offense, Russell Westbrook is primarily a pick-and-roll player. right? He's not a guy that you can run him off some screens, get him open to get a shot or anything like that. Like his is go towards the basket. That's what his offense in the system has to consist of when he's got the ball. The Warriors, it's different. A lot of times you'll see Draymond or Clay or hell now even Wiggins initiating the offense, but really what they're actually doing is running some back screens for Steph or Clay to get them open for a shot. So I don't know how Westbrook could fit in there because what can he do for them? He can't space the floor. So it's so bad with Russ at this point that it's like, dude, you can't really even play a big man that can't shoot with him. Because now instead of having one player that can't shoot, you'll have two players that can't shoot. That's why it was insanity to me that they were playing fucking Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan earlier this season together. It's like, dude,
they have Rondo and Westbrook on the court at the same time.
Hey, I remember there was at one point I saw a lineup that they put on the floor. I forget who it was against, but they had Rondo and Westbrook as their guards, LeBron. And then I don't remember who was at the 4, but I know DeAndre Jordan was at the 5, and it was like, oh my god, only 2 players on the floor could shoot.
It might have been maybe Melo. They probably was throwing Melo.
It might have been. It's like, but only 2 players on the floor could shoot the basketball for your entire lineup out there. Like that's awful.
That's
terrible.
You know what? I think I got the placement. Just throw him on the Knicks.
But like I said, bro, no team who thinks they have a shot at winning would take Westbrook. And I mean,
I want to see the Knicks. I like when the Knicks are good, but not too good too, right? Because they fans is so goddamn outrageous. I know what you're getting at, Daryl. You like, I can't wait to clown these dudes because New York Knicks fans, as soon as their team is good, they like, it's our year. It's our year. We gonna win it this year. We gonna bring it home to the Garden. And it's like, no.
And they sound like fools every single time. Yo, you be hearing some crazy shit. You be thinking like the Knicks are the Warriors one freaking minute. That's why I was so happy when freaking the Nets was finally a team. I was like, shit, I got Harden, I got KD. You know how many years I was shit?
Hey, bro, you had just Kid Vince Carter at one time, bro. You had Kenya Martin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Kerry Kittle.
That's true, but still, think about this, yo.
I mean, it's Kerry Kittle, bro.
You know what? I tell you this right now. I'll get clowned for when you play a 2K game and I freaking said, "Hey, I'm gonna pick the Nets." I'll get clowned instantly. Like, what are you doing to your life? Like, there's nobody on there. I had Brooke Lopez. I told you.
Luke Richard and Baumute, baby. I was out there balling with him. Boy, you get like when it was him and Brandon Roy on the Blazers, done deal, baby. Done deal. Over. You wasn't stopping me. I'm shooting from Steph Curry range with Brandon Roy. And I'm getting to the basket all day long with Luke Richard. Okay, what you gonna do? But talking about those Nets, Daryl, I have to ask you, your Nets have been struggling lately. They are currently on a 7-game losing streak going into tonight here, where they are playing. Actually, no, they are off tonight. They don't play again until tomorrow at 2:30. When they play the Nuggets, so they are one of the afternoon games.
Who's
tomorrow.
Playing?
I'm sorry. Who's playing?
Like players wise, who's playing?
Everybody's playing at this point. Everybody. Their whole team is out there, except for Kyrie on games that he can't go to in cities he can't play in.
See the Kyrie thing. Oh my gosh!
And given Harden's recent comments, they've been starting the whole "we're shopping James Harden" nonsense. Good idea, bad idea to move on from James Harden.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Whatever value you can get for him right now. Look, man, Mace, we've talked about this since the beginning of Sportsball here. He's gonna end up being in the Hall of Fame, right? But one of the most overrated players in the league right now is James Harden. And the reason why is because, in the words of the great Bomani Jones, he out there committing that insurance fraud all day. So, I can't sit there and say that a guy like that I know is literally abusing the limitations of the referees, right? I can't tell you that he's so great. So what happens is when the game tightens up now, right, in the playoffs especially, James is no longer as good. Now, as far as this particular situation with the Nets, it's just not working, man. They've only been able to play 16 games so far with Kyrie, James, and Kevin, right? They've only been able to play 16 games. You cannot develop any type of rhythm in any sport, period, after 16 games. Mace, I mean, me and you have seen it in another sport, soccer, right? Where guys come over at winter transfer windows, right? And it takes them damn near to the end of the season to finally really look like they belong in a system. You know what I mean? It happens. Guys need time out there. And with the fact that Kyrie cannot practice with them all the time and cannot consistently play with them, how the hell are you supposed to get any rhythm?
The Nets remind me of that pickup team where they just like try to find the few best players in the gym that day, put them on a team, try to carry one or two dudes, but yet they lose to maybe some dudes who like play all the time together. They may not be the best, but they know how to play with each other. But you got 3 gym all-stars at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like you got you know, so that's what that team reminds me of. They're just a collection of hoopers who don't know anything about each other.
It's what you're talking about is that if we took the Nets and put them up against the Warriors, the Nets, just based off of who has better players down the roster, the Nets probably win that competition, right? But when you're talking about who's the actual better basketball team, it's clearly the Warriors. They are a team that moves the ball, plays within their system, and knows what everybody's limitations is and doesn't force them to do things that they are limited in doing. They accentuate everybody's potential to the best ability that they can. I mean, hell, they've even adjusted the system a little bit for Wiggins, right? And Wiggins has also figured out that he needs to be Harrison Barnes in this system and not try and be Kevin Durant. You'll never be Kevin Durant what he was in that system. You got to be Harrison Barnes. You got to be the dude like Draymond willing to do that dirty work. You're gonna get some open fucking looks. So you got to be able to hit those looks, right? But we willing to hustle and keep the ball moving every night. Period. Me and you saw last year, Mace, hell. And I have to give him his credit. This is the first year of Wiggins' career where I would actually say he's playing really good basketball. Last year, he was struggling. He was still trying to do too much. But this year, he's playing good. But to the point you were making, the Nets are just not a true team. They're a collection of individuals right now that, due to the fact that they cannot play or practice consistently together, they don't have shit.
Yo, that's the wildest stuff to me, bro. we sit here and we like, oh, the athletes are supposed to do everything for the team. And Kyrie just said, nah, player, I'm doing my own thing.
He's being a straight man child. He's only thinking about himself.
Listen, I get it. Stand on your own 2 feet about what you believe in. I mean, if it's something that strong you believe in, stand by it. Don't let nobody tell you any different. But at the same time, if we are supposed to believe that athletes are always team first, why is it okay for Kyrie to play sometimes? I mean, he can't practice. He can play sometimes. Well, what's the deal? Is it no longer team first? Is it please just work out?
We're better off just having him be injured. This nonsense. At this point, because it's like you're half-assing it the whole time. Like if we had Kyrie the whole freaking season, it'd be this would be a different conversation. But we have this whole thing, this whole narrative. I don't want to take a shot, blah blah blah. I want to stand on. No, I'm not doing it, because at the same time, you're not even thinking about the team. It's gonna struggle. They're paying you. And you just like, even when we go back to like the whole thing, like the team was going to pay for the fines and all that stuff, like for him to come back and stuff. It shouldn't even got to that point. You are playing in the public. You're playing with your teammates. you need to get the shot. Who cares of your politics and what you think it doesn't work or do work? You need to get the shot. If you just got the shot, it had been over. But you made it a whole big controversy. You made it to levels that it shouldn't hit to, and then it's just a lot of misinformation.
What happens if the Knicks or the Nets lose in the first round to the Knicks because Kyrie can't play in any of the games? You want to talk about doomsday in Brooklyn?
We're burning Kyrie shirts, jerseys. Burn them jerseys.
Listen, bro, like that is where we at right now. We got to think about it. Like legitimately, if the Nets and Knicks end up playing in the first round, and Kyrie can't play in any of those games, and the Knicks win. Hey, you want to talk about a reckoning in Brooklyn? Oh, people getting fired, they getting cut. Hey, man, they gonna tear the Barclays Center down.
And while we are over here talking about Kyrie, just want to remind everybody that, hey, I wrote a whole article on this, on Kyrie Irving and all the things that is going on with him. And it is on our website, which is wordpress.com/ITCsports.com. So make sure you go there. It's an awesome site. I'm working on it. I'm about to actually get a lot of upgrades done over the next couple months here. So it's going to be great. Bear with me. Right now, we just got a couple of articles that I've written. So go check that one out. It's called The Plight of the Visible Black Man by yours truly, Jerome Span. But moving forward here, I don't want to get too stuck in the mud here with the Nets. I do want to ask, Mace, Daryl, looking at the all-star teams here for this year, do you feel like anyone was snubbed based off of their performance of this season here?
How the hell is Devin Booker not a starter? How is Chris Paul not a starter?
Because ain't nobody awake when they be playing their games, bro. Everybody be asleep.
Listen, bro. I mean, if you like good basketball, you're watching the Suns play. I don't give a damn if you're a Suns fan or not. I'm not gonna let people live by not having them to starters. I'm not letting y'all live. No.
Look, I have seen 3-4 halves of Suns basketball this year. Because, nigga, they be on it like 10 o'clock, dog. It's
that's the same spot that LA plays when they're good. That's the same spot that LA plays in when everybody wants to watch LA play.
They like to throw them Lakers on them earlier games if they can.
Yeah, damn that. On if Lakers play a home game on a Tuesday, they playing on TNT. They playing at 9 Central Time.
Hey, that's 9. Okay, and
the Suns play at the same time.
And the Lakers got LeBron. Okay,
okay, but do you want to watch LeBron or do you want to watch good basketball?
No disrespect to Devin Booker. He ain't no motherfucker LeBron James. Okay, as a matter of fact,
when you watch LeBron, you also got to watch Westbrook too. Don't forget about that.
I'm gonna just say,
you gotta watch your Russ.
You gotta watch Russ too when you watch LeBron. Don't forget about that.
there is only a handful of players that's gonna keep me up late nowadays, and sorry to say, dog, Devin Booker is not one. Look,
Booker.
If you talking about Ja Morant, I'll stay up to watch Ja.
But see, he plays in Memphis. He's Eastern. When they have home games, he gets that early slot. He gets that 6:37.
Hey, but when they got to play them other teams out on the West,
when he plays Utah or whatnot,
hey, I'll stay up to play. I'll stay up to watch Ja because Ja is exciting. But I'm sorry. Look, my problem with Devin Booker is not that he's not good. He's an excellent player, all-star player. Deserves all the kudos that he's getting now, right? He deserves the recognition. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. But fuck, man, he is not exciting to watch, bro. Like, I'm sorry. These dudes that are primarily just jump shooters, that shit ain't exciting to me. It's why I have an extreme level of respect for what Steph and Clay do, but they'll never be my favorite style of basketball player. Never, ever, ever, dog. I'm sorry. I need a guy that's going to take it to the rack. And guess what?
Hey, listen,
what Ja be doing? He be taking it to the rack.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
I'm rooting for Ja to dunk on every center in the league. He need a poster on every center in the league.
So
I'm rooting for it. I'm right there with you, bro. Ja Morant is must see TV every night.
Yeah. So,
but
I'm
not going. I'm watching Devin Booker. I'm sorry, I'm doing it. I'm staying up.
But I have to ask though. Okay, so Devin Booker at least made the All-Star team, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a reserve. He's not a starter. But who is it that didn't make the All-Star team that you felt like should have?
Let me go down the rosters on both real quick. I know you hit me with that link. I'm giving one.
Yes, I did. Daryl, is there anybody that you feel like didn't get the respect that they deserve this year?
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up right now.
But I believe so.
Look at this. Hey, people, just so y'all know, I sent this to them.
He did.
They had a chance to look at it. Okay, they had a chance. Okay. All right, these dudes, I'll tell you about them, boy. I'll tell you about these boys. I'll tell you about them.
Hey, man.
Yeah, there's definitely people got snubbed. There's definitely snubbed.
So who do you feel like got snubbed, Daryl? Because if you're saying it, who do you feel like got snubbed? Because it's easy to just be like, oh, well, there's people that got snubbed. I can do that too. I can be like, oh, yeah, people got snubbed. But who?
Feel the troll right now. Feel the troll.
Who?
Kyrie.
I say
Kyrie.
What? Yo, man, you said Kyrie. I'm sleeping.
Oh, God, bro.
Oh, shoot.
I don't know, bro. It's tough. Like I'm
about the tall guys on one team. Curry got to stay with LeBron. You know, LeBron's like, I gotta have Curry.
It's tough to say who got snubbed and who didn't, man. Because, like for instance, everybody knows how good Anthony Davis is, but he's not an All-Star this year, so we can't say him. Like it to talk about snub. Like I would move starters around of the people that are picked, but I can't sit here and say anybody that made it isn't deserving. I mean, everybody could talk about Wiggins just because it's fun to talk shit about Andrew Wiggins. But he's played really well this year. Like you really can't say anything about his performance this year. But I don't know, man.
I think you can replace Van though.
Van Fleet? How? With who?
You can find somebody.
You just don't like Van Fleet.
You know the one person I can look at and kind of be like, how did they probably got there on their name alone? Maybe Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Because I mean, has he really played well this year?
I mean, he's played good, but that team ain't winning shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Don't win
like
no games.
I feel like they're in the same pool as Portland. That team not winning the championship, blow it up. But that's a different.
We're missing Ben too.
Like I would honestly, now looking at this, I would replace Jason Tatum with Tobias Harris.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair. Daryl, you can go to hell. Okay, all right. But speaking of replacement,
maybe LaMelo.
But speaking of well, he's getting his shine. He's in the in the rookie game, so or whatever it's called, the Rising Stars game, whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh yeah, let me look at that Rising Stars right quick. Let me look at that.
You want to look at the Rising Stars going? Oh God, have fun. Look, I'm gonna just say this: have fun. Well, I'm moving on here. But speaking of replacements, Mace, I know we got through the NFL games, but we have to talk about all this insanity that has gone on with the NFL over the past week, and we're gonna have to pick it up with some truth here. So over the past week here, let's just say 10 days to be fair, there have been now 6 coaches that have been signed. Not one is a black head coach. We have the Bears with Eberflus, Broncos Nathaniel Hackett, the Giants with Brian Daboll, the Raiders with McDaniels, the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, and the Jaguars with Doug Peterson. Now, we have talked about this at length here as far as how things go in a lot of these situations with these ownership groups from various sports here, but especially we've made the point in football because it is a league that is, I think it's like 60 or 70%
It's like
black
70.
at this point.
It's in that low set. Like it's either at 70 or like 71, 72, somewhere around.
Yeah. So, but Howard Bryant made it a great series of tweets here, and just give me a minute here. Let me go through these here for you people. So he says here, because a lot of people were getting mad at him when he tweeted out, he said, white owners, white coaches, white media, white season ticket holders, black players, in response to basically like, people trying to seem surprised by what's going on. And he then goes on to expand on this and says, unsurprisingly, this comment passed some people. It represents the filter through which the games operate, how the news is disseminated, whose sensibilities are being prioritized, who gets jobs and where. It is not a hot take. It is the reality of the industry. Framing as a black-white issue for now because of the labor force / American history, right? It isn't a difficult formula. White owners, plain out and simple, right? Michael Jordan is the only black majority of the 4 majority sports. He's the only black majority owner in all the 4 sports, and the second in history. The first one was Robert Johnson, who MJ bought the team from. There have been black minority stakeholders in sports from Jay-Z with the Nets, Serena with the Dolphins, Dwayne Wade with the Jazz, Shaq with the Kings, etc. LeBron now has a piece of the Fenway Sports Group. Magic Johnson owns a 2% stake in the Dodgers. Derek Jeter has about a 4% of the Marlins. This inclusion into the billionaire class is so new and rare based on how close ownership ranks have been to the black participation that a handful of super rich black people entering these elite financial spaces is not only hailed as progress, but as activism. White coaches are largely a closed business, which is why its expansion has always required a movement. Boston's Bill Russell from 1967 to 69 was the first black coach in the modern post-war sports. MLB, it took till 1975 with Frank Robinson in the American League. Hey, guess who was the first? Can you guys guess who the first black manager was in the NL? Can you guess?
Was it Dusty Baker?
Frank Robinson.
Oh.
So he not only was he the first AL black manager, but he was the first NL black manager, and that was in 1982. Wow. And then the NFL did not have his first black head coach until 1989. He goes on to say here, coaching / managing rarely reflects the workforce. Counting the minors, MLB is roughly 45% Latino, but the Latino managers Latino managers are rarer than black managers. The expectation is sports is that it would be because of that because of the impact overestimation of money, but the front office is always white. The barrier for entry to black managers is enormous. MLB had 15 black non-intern managers. All were ex-players. 9. Dusty, Frank, Cito, McRae, Cooper, Willis, Baylor, Randolph, Lopes were all stars. Franks is a Hall of Famer. So you must be a great player just to be a black manager. The NBA has the longest and most prolific roster of black coaches, but all but 11 were former players. Translation, to be a black coach, you have to be one of the world's best at some point in your life. You have to be one of the 500 best basketball players in the world. A little under half of black NFL coaches were former players, 8 out of 17 by the last count. But the NFL is more hostile towards minority hiring, even as its popularity grows. It was the last of the 3 to hire a black coach 22 years after the NBA and 14 years after Major League Baseball. So they've always had a history of this. Goes on to say here, the white media, the press box has been far, far less integrated than the sidelines. Radio is even worse, which panters to the drive time white male demo through a similar formula than what we see on TV. But on radio, it's white average Joe's host paired with a prominent ex-black player. Okay? Pandering to that demo explains the coverage, especially during the social justice returns by the players the last decade. Statistically, it wasn't the black minority or even female demographics that were most offended by the player protest. It was white men, white season ticket holders, Black people watch the games, they buy the merch, but the disposable income spent on tickets is overwhelmingly white. Compounded by the corporate spending, the industry is obviously aware of who goes through the turnstiles. It's what black players face. It's what goodness gracious. It's what black players face inside the industry and how decisions are made. Black athletes are often the majority workforce, but are outnumbered in all other aspects of the game. It's their money, it's their game. Remember Donald Sterling? Do I make the game or do they make the game? Black people comprise of 13% of the population, but we are not 13% of the culture. The battle has always been to translate Black culture impact into jobs, careers, fairness, and it's not happening in the one industry of cultural dominance and super high wage earners. So all that being said, I know that was a whole mouthful and that was hard for, that a lot of people have to digest that there. But to the point of what Howard's making here is essentially what they're saying is if you want to have success in this industry of being, in the front office or being an owner or anything like that, as a Black athlete or a Black person, you either have to be a former professional athlete or so super rich that they can't keep you out the club, like Robert Johnson was. It's got to be one of those. It's got to be one of those. Otherwise, you basically have an entire barrier to your entry ever being in those fields. So all that being said, fellas, I know that was a whole mouthful there, and I know I was going for a minute there reading those tweets, but I have to ask, how do you guys feel about this entire situation here?
I would say that sounds horrible. You're pretty much saying like how you said about literally like their interns. It's pretty much you're like a substitute teacher at the point. When you say Mace, like it'd be like you can only touch just a little bit of that power, but you'll never be full time. 100%.
Yeah, man, it's almost as if, like I said, you pretty much have to be a top tier athlete to even be considered. Like, I think that's what makes Mike Tomlin and the Steelers such a unique situation, because historically the Steelers don't fire coaches. They've had 3 coaches since like 61, I think. It's only been 3 coaches since then. Shit. But anyways, it's like Mike Tomlin's success or his longevity. It's almost as if like the NFL has said Mike Tomlin is basically the NFL's version of Barack. Y'all got one, be happy. Because everybody else is getting kicked out the club before they even have a chance to be successful. I said this whenever David Culley got hired with the Texans, I said this, like, I'm happy a Black dude got hired, but at the same time, he got hired to be fired. It was a terrible situation. They did not have a true chance to make that team better. I think the earliest draft pick they had was a 3rd. They had very little cap space to make that team better. So I was happy, but at the same time, I understood that his position as head coach had a shelf life because there was no way that he could be successful in that situation, which is another reason why I'm kind of worried about Eric Bieniemy having interviews with the Saints. That's another team who don't really have that much, doesn't really have a great opportunity to make that team better. The only quarterback on their roster right now is Taysom Hill. Your second best player on the team, Michael Thomas, hasn't played in 2 years, basically. They have no money to reconstruct that roster in any form or fashion, so it's just going to be running the same dudes out there that was trashed this year, next year, and probably going to lose a lot of players that they need to keep. So, I would love to see Eric Bieniemy get a head coaching job, but not that job because that job is set up for him to fail.
Just for correction here, the Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1969. Chuck Noll
69. Okay,
1969. That was his first year as head coach there. But yes, to your point though, you're right. We have seen this happen before with other black head coaches, to where their first time they're basically being forced to take a job that nobody actually really wants, right? But they're being forced to take it because, hey, the chance to become a head coach, there's 32 teams in the NFL. You're getting one of 32 jobs. This is your opportunity to have it. You got to try and make the most of it. That's what David Culley did this year, right? I mean, if we're just being honest, that Texans team overachieved this year. Okay, they should have maybe won 2 games. Them and the Lions should have been competing for the number 1 pick, but instead he had this team compete. Even in some of the games they lost, they were competing, man. So, and he did this with his quarterback being a dude that, oh my God, bro, he had no right being out there and having that success. Look, I have to give him credit. Him and Pep Hamilton, whatever the fuck they was saying to him, coaching that boy up this year, them boys deserve a lot of credit, okay? Because good Lord, it was a situation bad, and they still were able to overachieve with that. So it's just it's another situation though, to where, like you said, with the Saints, me and you both want Bieniemy to get a job. We want him to get a head coaching job, but we also don't want him to get set up for this short term. Like you said, the Saints, their cap is a fucking mess. They don't have all their draft picks. They're going to be losing some players that they need off of that roster because their cap is a fucking mess. That's a setup. That's a quick, easy setup to say, well, see, they were so bad year 1 and they got a little better year 2, but we had to get them out of here. We had the opportunity to sign this guy, who's the next Sean McVay. You know what I mean? Since that's the thing now, make sure you remember, forever it was, where can I get the next Belichick? Blah, blah, blah. Now it's, where can I get the next Sean McVay? Okay,
like, where can I get the next McVay, the next Shanahan? You know what I'm saying? Everybody, it's the cool thing to do right now.
Hey, the one thing I want to say about McVay, man, is that the reason I can rock with him about him being like a football genius is because it doesn't feel like he actually bought into that shit. It feels like that's the narrative that's been built around him. But it seems like even when he talks about it, it's like, nah, dog, I ain't no football genius. I'm a good coach, but I ain't no fucking genius out here. I'm out here doing the things that people should be doing, right? So it's just, it's a disturbing thing when you look up now and you've seen, like I said, 6 head coaches hired in a league that's majority black. Now, one of them was a black man. Now, I must give certain organizations credit. Certain of these organizations have hired black men for being the GM, right? Or the president of football operations, like my team, the Bears. Yes, we didn't get a black head coach, but the GM is a black dude. This is, I believe, the first black GM in Bears history because, believe it or not, Mace, you're going to laugh at this. So you realize before that, before Jerry Angelo, the Bears actually didn't have like a certified GM. Like, it kind of just wasn't a position. Mm-hmm. Jerry Angelo was the first, like, long-term, what we call the GM here. Yes. Yes. Whew, poor handling of things. But speaking of poor handling, Daryl, I have to ask you here. Joe Rogan didn't put his foot in his fucking mouth over these past, this past year has been a rough year of Joe Rogan, foot and mouth disease heavy. Okay. Spotify now, as of about 2 days ago, they have removed 7% of his catalog from their library because it's containing misinformation or it has other problematic things with it, like such things that NDRE pointed out this week with the compilation that was put together of 24 different times of Joe Rogan saying the N-word. Daryl, me and you we've watched UFC for a lot of years, right? So we've had experience with being, Joe Rogan being something that is in part of a culture that we like, right? Seeing everything that has happened and transpired over the past year, Do you feel like Joe Rogan should even really have that platform as large as he does? And more so to the point, do you feel like he is actually handling things responsibly?
In the sense of his words, literally, he just wants to have a conversation. So he's just having a conversation with a bunch of people and just like do like regular people do, but maybe his views and everything else spirals down to this horrible rabbit hole of half ignorance and then saying things that you're not supposed to say that people won't like. Just like, for example, for before this, it was the whole COVID thing and having COVID and using this, that, and the third, saying I use this, that I got from doctors. Everybody's just looking at him like crazy. Like, where are he getting this medical advice from? Freaking medical advice. And going back into his old catalog and seeing that he said the word, he obviously said it. He doesn't like phase off of it, but he was saying like how I was using it was just out of the conversation, not into the sense of just using the word as how other people use it. Me, I don't know. I give I don't know because I don't. It's neither good or bad for me. I am just going to, how would I say it? Joe Rogan needs to stop explaining himself. Just let it go. Just let it go. Like you already said it. Just let it go. I will say.
But I have to ask you, see, and this is why I wanted to ask you is, do you feel that he is handling it responsibly? Is it handling it responsibly when you are having anti-Semites like Jordan Peterson on your show? Are you really just having a conversation then? Or are you now giving a platform to someone who is spitting out hateful shit, right? Are you now just giving that person a platform to now expose them to more people?
Certain people that he interviews in the show, you shouldn't give a platform for. That's why sometimes they're not supposed. That's why the times like if someone's like speaking crazy stuff, it's like if who was the guy's name that remember when back when like the Batman, the guy that shot up the Batman over like the what was it, the Dark Knight, the guy that shot that up, right? That's like giving him an interview and saying, why did you do it? Type stuff. Like we shouldn't even acknowledge that type of like energy.
But could it be that Joe Rogan has hit a point to where he feels like his image or his opinion is basically what's the word, invulnerable at this point? Like he feels like he can do or say whatever, like his ego has made him think that he could recover from having an anti-Semite on his show, or he could go out and say that you should treat COVID with ivermectin or whatever the case is. Like, do you feel like because I feel like at this point Joe Rogan feels like he can say or do whatever and still recover because he knows he has said so many things and let so many people on his show that now he has a solidified following regardless of what he says or does, that gives him this feeling of invincibility to backlash. Because I mean, it's almost like you have to be guilty by association at some point. Like for instance, when Donald Trump was getting his support from David Duke, like that telltale sign right there. When the racists fuck with you, you're racist. So if Joe Rogan is going to sit here and let these people who have no business with the platform that Joe Rogan can provide them, when he allows them to have that platform, that should be the telltale sign that there's something up with Joe Rogan. Like simple as that. Like regardless if you just want to have a conversation with people, from time to time, you have to know better than to have that conversation out loud.
Do you feel like he's bringing on these people with bad intentions? That's really what it is.
It has to be, because
do you honestly believe Joe Rogan is doing it just for a conversation, or do you think he's just doing it to cause controversy?
It has to be for the controversy at this point, man, because sure, you want to talk to these people, and Joe Rogan wants to be that beacon into like maybe there is some sort of sensibility to these people. There's something that you can connect with, like they're not just these inhuman people, like you can't connect with them at all. You kind of understand that maybe that's what he's wanting to do, but like I said, at the same time, Joe Rogan has a following, a very large following, and once you start allowing certain things to be out and you not challenge those things, like, okay, fine, you want to have that person on the show, but if you don't challenge their beliefs, you might as well be complicit with it and be a part of it.
But I would say everybody's beliefs is their opinion, and you can't really argue an opinion, can you?
Yeah, you can. So let me ask you this. Yeah, it's called facts. So you can't argue an opinion. Sometimes people's opinions are fucking wrong. Period. It may be your opinion, but there may be facts that show that your opinion is shit. So yes, you can't argue someone's opinion. Now here's where my issue comes in with kind of what you're saying there, Daryl. Does Joe Rogan not got Google? He got Google, right? Just like we do. So he can Google these people that he bringing on the show, right?
Hey,
he do that. He YouTube, Google, all that,
right?
Do you believe everything on the internet?
But listen, though, Joe Rogan has a dude on his show who is there just to fact check.
So
that's his job. Hey, bro, such and such, so and so, right or wrong. He has a dude on his show that he can point to at any point in time in the show and be like, check this out real quick. Go find it.
So is Joe Rogan really just trying to be counterculture like you're basically presenting, or is he willfully doing what he is? I say he's willfully doing it. He knows what these people are saying before they come on his platform. He knows exactly what it is. But see, it's that same both sides and bullshit. That's why he was bringing on Alex Jones all the time. And so, again, when you got homeboys, like you said, Alex is your friend, you have said this on record multiple times. Remember, that's the same cocksucker that said that Sandy Hook was a conspiracy. So again, I have to ask you, is he being responsible with his platform? Because I'm going to tell you straight on, I say fuck no, he isn't. You cannot continually have on anti-Semites, motherfuckers that push disinformation over and over, and tell me that you're being responsible with your platform that has multi-millions of subscribers right now. You cannot tell me that. Sorry, maybe that's not what he ever intended with this show, right? To have some. Maybe you're right, Daryl. Maybe he was like, yeah, I just want to have conversations with people that I know and that people that I think may have something interesting to say, right? But guess what? Reality says your platform is as big as it is now. So now, while you are perfectly fine with taking all the money that having that platform gives you, that means you also have to take on the responsibility of that and not be someone who is out here actively harming our society, not just our country, our society as humans. You can't do that. So I have to ask you again, Daryl, because I'm going to pin you down and make you give me an answer on this. Is he using his platform responsibly? It's hard for him. See, Mace? He wants to say yes, but he knows he's not.
Honestly, bro, like how can Joe Rogan, knowing the amount of people that listen to him Because I mean, at one point, people used to look at Joe Rogan and be like, "Yes, bro, bring somebody on there and fact check they ass." People used to love that about Joe Rogan. But then he started letting certain people get on there and talk this bullshit and not challenge him on anything. So people who listen to Joe Rogan would take that person that he doesn't challenge and be like, okay, he's got the facts right because Joe Rogan didn't say nothing to him. Everybody, like, people used to, I mean, that's what Joe Rogan's show was about for a long time, was bringing somebody on there and like, I really want you to make an argument for what you believe in because I'm going to check you about it. And people love that.
The episodes that I had consumed of that platform were in the days where he used to actually have two people on and be like, yo, y'all can debate each other. I'll be your middle person, right? But let's let this debate, a healthy debate happen. But now, like I said, now he wants to be, oh no, I just want to have conversations with my friends. It's funny as hell how as soon as the flames got put to your fire, Joe Rogan, and that's what the hell you had to say. That's very, very funny. Very convenient. You know what I mean? Again, very convenient again by another person getting their feet put to the fire from what they have done by their own choices, Daryl. That is like, I don't want this responsibility. This is too much. Well, give back them checks then, Joe, because I bet you haven't given back not one of them fucking Spotify checks.
I bet you just spent all that damn money.
Okay, so if we go back to the Alex is my friend thing. So is it the fact that he has him on the platform as his friend, or is it the fact that he's friends with him?
Both.
So if you had someone that was a friend that believed into the whole charging the capital thing, you're just gonna just instantly just like, I gotta just like defriend instantly, or are you just gonna keep him as a friend?
You must not know how many people I stopped fucking with because they was espousing their support for Donald Trump. You must not know. You must not realize.
Like for us sitting here, man, if we can't challenge each other in what we believe in, if we can't sit here and say, no, you're wrong, or you're saying, like, you're basically allowing that's like allowing your friend, brother, whatever the case, to kill somebody and then hide them out in your attic. That's basically how you treat these people when you don't challenge them on their beliefs when you know they're wrong. You're basically complicit to their bullshit, and now you're letting everybody else hear their bullshit and believe their bullshit.
Okay, so I'll give you the answer. Yes, it's not responsible. But that's all. And I feel so. Yes, it's not responsible. His platform changed as soon as it came from YouTube to go into the Spotify deal.
No, it didn't. No. He always had the same amount of access to people. It's just he only had it through YouTube. His numbers have, as far as like subscriptions, have stayed relatively the same to as far as like YouTube and Spotify, right? He's gotten a little kick on Spotify because there's been obviously people that he's been advertised with, but his numbers as far as subscription goes, basically the same. He's always had the same platform. It's just now because he has the same issue that so many of the white guys that are in positions of power like him have, which is that he doesn't like that he can now be held responsible for his actions. He does not like it. He does not like that his entire platform can be gone because, hey, I did something irresponsible. Yeah, sorry, bro. It should be that way. We shouldn't be patting people on the back because they're being irresponsible with what they're doing and putting out disinformation into this world. We should not. You should not be rewarded for shitting on our society. Sorry, dog. I'm sorry. For me, the way I view Joe Rogan at this point is this. Stop pissing on me and telling me it's rain, Joe. Because it's not. It's not rain. Somebody's trying to piss on me, Joe, and you're telling me that it's rain. Don't work, bro. You're not being responsible. And if you give a platform to someone who is an anti-Semite like a Jordan Peterson, you're kind of speaking loud and clear for me, dog. Kind of.
What should he do with his platform? You tell me what he should do on his platform.
Be responsible.
No.
Be
There's always gonna be people saying crazy stuff, but I'm saying like
then challenge them when they say like May said before, like you can see, dude. And this is the whole point. When the whole Trump shit started happening, all of a sudden it was no more holding niggas accountable on his show. Then it was just come on and espouse your fucking views. He doesn't challenge any thoughts anymore. He just sits and, hey, let's get high, man, with Elon Musk. Here you go, Elon. Elon, come out here and say a whole bunch of dumb shit, but I'm not going to question you on it.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's what we loved about Joe for a long time, man. Like I can tell you, I used to love the Joe Rogan experience whenever he was on YouTube, he was getting on there, somebody say something stupid. Hey, is that right? No, that's wrong. Hey, bro, you're wrong. Explain yourself. But yet now it's all of a sudden my friend comes on and says something stupid. Ha ha ha, whatever, brothers, get high.
And hey, look, if he wants to continue to use his platform to allow people to espouse a bunch of bullshit, fine, get him checks back.
And he has to be okay with being quote unquote canceled.
Hey, be okay with being in the Alex Jones position. That's your homeboy, right? That's your boy. That's your guy. Well, be okay with being in his position. Because guess what? Alex Jones kept on espousing his bullshit, and you see what it cost him? Everything. That nigga got Thanos snapped, okay? So I'm just saying, if he wants to keep doing that, Daryl, feel free. But I'm just saying, if you ask him my advice on what he should do, be more fucking responsible. Stop being such a coward and allowing people to just say shit on your platform that you know is patently untrue. That's it. I don't think that's hard to do, especially when you're a guy who, for all intents and purposes, at this point in his life, right, because of the money that he's made, like where he's probably made way more money than he ever thought he would, being a guy that came up as a karate guy and a UFC guy and a comedian, a stand-up fucking comedian, right? He's got millions. So for those purposes, he's got fuck you money at this point. So if you're not willing to use that fuck you money power to help society, then fuck you. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry. It's just the way I feel. Sorry, I'm not sorry, Daryl. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Man, like I said, it's just ridiculous, bro. Joe doesn't challenge anybody anymore. Like, his platform is just you can pretty much get on there and say what you want to. Mm-hmm. And Joe Rogan will be cool with it. Unless you try to tell him that ivermectin doesn't work, because he'll challenge you.
Oh boy, he'll tell you all about how we need to just do herd immunity.
Yeah,
morons, bro.
Ask those people who died in the Black Plague how herd immunity worked out for them. You feel me? How did that work out for the Dark Ages?
Oh goodness.
It's in history books. That's one of the things they don't lie about in history. It's in history books. They don't lie about that one. You can read up on how herd immunity worked for them.
But I don't want to end this show on such a wild note there, because we were talking about Joe Rogan. But we have to end it on the wildest note of the week. My man Brian Flores, dog. We got to talk about it now. Now, the reason why I say this is, for those that don't know, Brian Flores was like, fuck this. I'm done with this NFL racism. I'm going to file a lawsuit. Okay? If you don't know some of the particulars, you should go read the story on it. I'll give you the best part of it all was that at one point, Brian Flores got a text from Bill Belichick congratulating him on getting the Giants job, when he meant to be texting that to Brian Daboll, and it kind of all got exposed, and my man Flores put his text out there. So, Mace, I'm just going to say to you, ask you real quick, do you think other coaches, former coaches, will hop on this lawsuit with Brian Flores to actually get it to move somewhere? Because just like I do, the NFL does not want this to ever get to discovery. If it's gonna get to a point to where they're like, well, you got to give the defense. I mean, you have to give the plaintiff, access to your files for discovery. The NFL will be like, nah, B, how much money you need, dog? So, do you feel like there's going to be a potential of other coaches and stuff hopping on this to maybe actually get some traction on this for once with the NFL's horrible hiring process.
I do think so, man. In particular, I would say a Hugh Jackson probably has the most to gain from hopping on this lawsuit with him, because the last time the Browns had any semblance of moving in the right direction, it was under the head coaching of Hugh Jackson. So I mean, he would have the most to gain. But real quick, with that text message, the craziest part about the whole text message was Brian Flores had his interview 3 days later with them. So it was it's almost, we're not gonna say the Giants were basically fulfilling the Rooney Rule obligation by bringing in X amount of minorities to they already had their guy, and that's just so fucking disrespectful, man. Because if you feel like you have your guy, shut down the entire everything else after that. Shut it down. Just
pay your fucking fine that you're gonna have to the NFL, and just keep
shut it down. If that is truly your guy, shut it down. Pay the fine. We don't care. We got our guy. That message right there says to me that he went in there and blew them away and deserved that job. But to sit here and bring somebody in just so you don't have to pay a fine because of the Rooney Rule, that shit is so disrespectful, man. Like that. And then Brian Flores has to go. He has to go to that interview, because if he doesn't go, now he's the angry black guy. He's got to go to the interview, because if he doesn't, he's the angry black guy. And we all know the angry black guy gets persecuted for less.
Without a shadow of a doubt. So that's why I have to look at this entire hiring process that the NFL goes through, and it's such a sham every year. It's such a this is why we're trying to get anybody that's consuming this, right? If you can learn one thing from Sportsball, please, Lord, let it be this. Not all these teams are trying to win. They're not. They're not all doing whatever they can to bring in the best personnel possible to put them in the best position possible to win. A lot of it is good old boys club behavior. A lot of it is nepotism. Okay? Plain out and simple. So at this point, I have to ask Daryl, and I want to start with you here, because I know Mason will probably have a solution that he's been thinking about for a while. I can see it in his brain. The gears have been turning in his head as he's talking about this. But I have to ask Daryl, the Rooney Rule is clearly not doing the job that it's supposed to do, right? At this point, it's just clearly not getting the desired results, because you didn't change the people that are making these decisions, right? You didn't really change them. At this point, what do you feel the NFL can do to at least tamper this shit down to where it can at least be like, hey, yeah, we actually are trying to get the best candidate? Because at this point, the game's laid so barren that it's really like just favoritism and nepotism at this point. That's all it is. So what is it? Is there like a rule or a policy or something in your mind that you think the NFL can put in place now to stop this shit and to actually start correcting the issue?
There is a solution. I'm just trying to think. How would I say this? You have to have a certain amount. I know how it sounds. It sounds like you have to have a certain amount of qualifications, and you cannot be like in a, how would I say, like, you know how you have someone that'd be perfect for the job type stuff. Like, you can't be associated with any person that's currently into the league, or have like a close basis with them. So there is a strong bias. Like, you have to fit everything on the checkerboard. Like, you just can't just come in just because your friend just recommends you. You can't even have the recommendations of them in that fact. Like, they have to be credible sources. Your ability has to be up to par type stuff.
So essentially what you're saying is they need to have an actual ranking system that is put in place, that you have to meet certain qualifications of that ranking system in order to even be considered as a candidate, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but also like when you say like the Good Boys Club and everything else, like you just can't just like sub people in just because like they have this relationship and stuff. You have to literally have none of that. Like you might be like someone might be like, for example, you might be too good and you like is another family member or a friend or something, but they cannot be your way in. Like the
You got to get your way in somewhere else.
Yes, you have to get
like
yourself.
Mike Zimmer shouldn't be able to hire his son as defensive coordinator.
Yeah, you have to. You gotta find some other people. I'm sorry, you gotta find.
You gotta prove
else.
your merit before it's at a point to where someone could be like, okay, you've been in the league already. Yeah, you're my family. Now I can bring you in. You need them to say, nah, dog, you got to prove to somebody else that you worked at first, not just your family member or this close person.
That name cannot hold that much weight like it's a freaking, hey, here's a suitcase full of money. There you go.
Well, to your point of this merit, the only head coach that's been hired in this cycle who maybe could compete or have a better resume than Brian Flores is Doug Peterson, because he's won a Super Bowl. Everybody holds that to a higher esteem. But you look over the last 2 years of all the head coaches that were hired within like the 2-year period, like that were hired when Brian Flores was hired, he has the best record out of all those coaches. I mean, he is by fields the best candidate out there.
For essentially 3 years, the man has been figuring out how to win games without having a quarterback that anyone's sure about.
I mean, he'll tell, like the story's been out there, tell you straight up. The Patriots defense, the year that they beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, that was Brian Flores. Brian Flores was he was the one that subbed in Malcolm Butler because the other guys was getting cooked.
Flores is the one that's actually responsible for what happened down on that goal line more than Patricia, who Patricia was the one that wanted to actually take all the credit and say, see, I made that call. You see how much of a genius I am? No, it's because your players were coached well to say, if they try and do this rub route, you take the outside man. You take the inside. I'll take the outside. We're good. We got it covered. It wasn't because of you, Matt Patricia.
No, that was Brian Flores saying, like, hey, bro, this guy needs to be in the game because he knows what to do.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, Brian Flores found a way. Like I said, he found a way to win in Miami with a subpar roster.
Hey, all I can say is at this point, any response, and the NFL's response and the Dolphins' response was absolutely comical. That there's like no, basically trying to call this man's allegations baseless in a league where it is known to have problems with racism. But it sounds just as stupid as a lot of these companies like Microsoft coming out and being like, oh yeah, we're going to celebrate Black History Month, but donate $135,000 to the senators that protect the filibuster and that filibustered federal voting rights. That's smart. Or like Verizon donating $126,000 to the senators that voted against federal voting rights. You know, like it's shit like that. Or Google donating to some, or Dell, or Amazon. You know, all these companies. It's like they want to tell you, and this is always the trick, right? They want to tell you how they care, while on the back end showing you they don't give a fuck. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is this week's episode of ITC Sportsball. Mace, tell the people where to find you on all your socials.
You know where to find me, man. Twitter, funky_stuff09, Instagram, Nindime Summer, or twitch.tv/swaggymace. Hit me up.
Daryl, Mr. Low Elo janitor himself. Tell the people where to find you.
Well, Low Janitor, YouTube, Twitch, Alvarez Effect, Twitter, Instagram.
Oh God, this fucking guy, man, this fucking guy. And like you guys know, you can find me everywhere at JSpan the Man. It's either at JSpan the Man or JSpan the Man 23, like the Bears, the man. That simple. If you are on YouTube or Spotify consuming us, make sure to like and subscribe to us. If you're on Spotify or iTunes, all that good stuff, make sure you rate us 5 stars. If you don't rate us 5 stars, I'm inclined to think that you're just a hating ass bitch. So make sure you rate us 5 stars. But yes, as we tell you each and every week, people, this was another resounding episode of ITC
Sportsball.
A rich bitch.